As you may notice, I'm not on the floor for my first intro ever. I'm making an effort to start doing more things in what I call the brewery, which is my spare bedroom. So my husband got me some more racks and a table, and pretty soon I hope we're gonna figure out like how to do the wort cooling in here so that I can actually just do an entire brew in here, because I don't need my stove. I do an all electric brew, and it'll just make everything easier, because then I can like actually cook while I'm doing a mash or a boil, instead of being kind of relegated to takeout if I am brewing in the middle of dinner. So today I'm going to make a double IPA. This double is based on Ninkasi's Tricera hops, which is my favorite double IPA. I just like double IPAs in general better than singles. I find they're a little sweeter and it suits my taste better. Now I have my new fandangled mill cart extraordinaire. I got myself a scale for grain now, and then I have my little escali as well. I am going to put an actual surface on here because I know that you're supposed to have more of a flat surface for your scales to read better, and then I'm going to cut a hole below this so it doesn't like fall in between the grates into my bucket. This little cardboard thing under here is solely meant for dust protection. It gets super dusty in here no matter what, even if I'm on top of the bucket. So yeah, I feel like I haven't brewed in a long time, so I'm kind of excited and also a little nervous now that I have a whole new kind of setup. I haven't set up my kettle at all yet. All my stuff is still down here, as you can see, my control panel, my pump, my chiller, and yeah, so I've got a long road ahead of me. We've spent probably an hour screwing around with cameras and lights, so I should probably get going. Okay, for this double IPA, we've got a ton of malt and some sugar. So I've got 7 pounds of pale, 3 Pilsen, 3 white wheat, 1 pound caramel 10, 8 ounces caramel 60, 4 ounces Munich, and a pound of sugar. So it's going to be pretty high ABV. ABV should be around 8.7. Original gravity is 1.08, and IBU is going to be 110. So it's going to be pretty hoppy, but I kind of reversed the order of the hops in this one. So the aroma hops actually come first, and then the higher alpha acid hops come next. And it always works out. I don't know why. I based this kind of on a Ninkasi clone that I found online and tweaked it a bit, but I don't know, I really like it. The only thing with this one is you have to age it. So the hops actually, they're pretty strong in the beginning, but if you let it sit for around a month, they turn out really nice. All right, so let's start with our base malts. Okay, I'm just gonna scoop this in with my measuring cup. And we're looking for 7 pounds. There we go. 3 pounds Pilsner. 3 pounds white wheat. One pound caramel 10, which is this. Eight ounces caramel 60. We're going 4 ounces Munich. Okay, I'm going to grab my Metro card and just see if my rollers are in the right spots. All right, my rollers are a bit wide for what I like. I like my rollers to be just wide enough for a credit card to fit through. So that's looking good. Okay, now that everything I own has malt on it, we can measure out the other stuff. At least the grist looks good. What is that? So it's a nice, moderately fine mill for this because I'm doing brew in a bag. Okay, so now I'm just gonna measure out our sugar and then we'll be done for fermentables. And then I'm gonna go ahead and measure out all my hops and my water additions here now, so I don't have to use my kitchen table anymore because there's plants taking over it anyway. And then move on to brewing because it's already 1:30. So you just need a pound of sugar for this. It gives it a little bit of a drier finish than like some double IPAs, but it's still a pretty sweet beer. I can't wait to be able to brew in here so that I can leave all my stuff in here instead of having to truck it around my house. So let's do the water additions. For this one, I am doing the Hoppy NIPA, basically water profile in Brewfather. Brewfather just got a like standalone app for your iPhone or Android now, and I just figured it out, and I'm so excited. I've been waiting for a long time. I really like those guys, and that's like all they needed in my eyes, and now I'm hooked forever. Anyway. So I'm going to use, someone suggested in the last video that I posted that I use some baking soda just to, when I use reverse osmosis water to just like make the flavor better. So I'm going to try it. So I'm going to use 1 gram of baking soda, 8 grams of calcium chloride, 3 grams of Epsom, and 3 grams of gypsum. All in this guy. I guess I should go down in order. 8 grams of calcium chloride, 3 grams of gypsum, and 3 grams of Epsom salt. I'm doing this in my hand because I feel like Epsom salt always sneaks up on me and I always end up putting too much. Okay, so now I'm gonna go set up my water, I guess. I did everything in advance for once because everything's set up in this room now, which is great. I'm very happy about it. I've measured out my water additions. I've got my RO water. We're gonna do 7 gallons into my claw hammer. It's gonna be a full water mash. So no spark, no lautering, just put the malt in the screen, pull the screen when it's done. Easy peasy. So I'm just gonna start heating my water and throw in the additions the same time as the water because I was prepared this time, and let it all mix up. So that's a little over 5. that's right about 7. Nope, a half a gallon short. Good enough. And my water additions. Okay, so I'm just going to, I'm gonna throw in my screen and then just start the pump so it mixes and heats evenly. Always prime your pump so you don't run it dry because that'll kill it. So heat, I'm gonna set my heat at 150. Let's do 156 because I have a ton of grain going in, so we don't want it to drop too far. Okay, so I'm at temperature. I'm just gonna turn off my pump, pull the lid, and mash in. This is a lot of grain, so it's probably actually gonna be right to the brim. I'm gonna use my little meat thermometer to just double check that the mash double check that where the malt is the same temperature as it's reading below, which I doubt it because that's reading pretty high. Oh, it's pretty close actually. All right, so this malt's pretty hot right now. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my heat down to 152 so that it's not super sweet because we're at 158 right now, according to this. I'm just gonna keep stirring it, kind of get some cold air in there. And I'm gonna do a quick pH reading. It should be fine. So my pH is at 5.4, which is great. And let's just take one more temperature reading because I'm being very particular. It's a hot mash. All right, well, hopefully once I start circulating the wort through, it will cool it down a bit. And I'm gonna set a timer for an hour, just because there's so much malt in this that I wanna make sure everything's converted, and now that I've got a really high starting mash temp, so yeah, 1 hour. All right, so it's been an hour and I think I'm almost there with my gravity. So let's just do a quick check again. All right, so I'm at 15.2 bricks on my refractometer, which comes out to, all right, so I'm at 1.064. I was aiming for 1.066, but I've got a pound of sugar still to add, so I'm not sure if that was actually calculating with the sugar or before the sugar. We're just gonna play it by ear and see how it goes. So pumps off. I'm gonna use my super high-tech chair system to lift this grain because it is very heavy and I cannot do it without getting on a chair. Okay, so I'm going to just let that all drain while I heat up to a boil. So I'm gonna set this guy to 250 just because it's easy, and set an alarm for 212 so it'll buzz me when it's ready. So this has been draining for about 10 minutes. I'm just gonna pull it and I'm gonna mix in my sugar now so that it's all dissolved before it boils. If you add it while it's boiling, you have the risk of it like boiling up, like kind of doing its own hot break. I've done it with a yeast starter before and it's been all bad. So it looks like we've got just under 6 gallons in our wort, and I'm gonna add this sugar and then I'm gonna take another gravity reading. So my batch size is supposed to be 5.5 gallons. It's looking like I might end up with less than that, but that's fine. I usually aim for around 5 gallons anyway, but I'm just trying to make up for like trub loss. But I'm good. Usually when I make double IPAs, just because of the grain absorption, you get less than you're aiming for unless you like actually spend time to like figure out exactly how much grain absorption you're gonna get and you know, whatever. So my brix is 17 point, I'm gonna call it 4. So it seems like my pre-boil gravity was not taking into consideration the fact that I have sugar to add. So let's kind of figure out where we are. That's wild. It's actually 1.074. That's funny. Okay, so we only have 0.006 to go for it to hit our original gravity. That's great. We're super on track. Now we just gotta get it to boil. I'm gonna put this lid on like very partially to keep some of the heat in, but to let the steam out to get, you know, DMS and stuff out. And in about 30 degrees, we will start adding some hops. So for this beer, it's got a lot of C hops, some Cascade, Centennial, Galaxy, and Columbus. Galaxy's the only G hop, I guess. So we're gonna do a lot of Cascade at the 60-minute mark, and then we're gonna do Centennial and Galaxy at the 30-minute mark, Columbus at 20-minute, and then do a hop stand with Centennial at 194 degrees for 10 minutes. And that's it until we hit the dry hop, and we're gonna do a 1/2 ounce of each in the dry hop. So here's the stand one because it already says stand on it. Okay, so 60 is going to be 4.5 ounces of Cascade. If you guys think that's a lot of hops and a lot of expense, I buy everything in a pound increments. So I don't know, I have so many hops lying around my house. It's like I'm happy to get rid of them at this rate. And a lot of people send me samples, which I never even get to use. I'm actually going to use some samples today for my Centennial because I actually ran out miraculously. The only hops I really use a lot of are like Mosaic and Simcoe. And Simcoe, I've got so much that I'm like finding it in crevices. So Mosaic's like truly the only hop I ever buy anymore. So we are going to do 30 minutes in this guy and 20 minutes in this guy. And then this is our hop stand one. So 60 minutes. What am I doing? What am I doing? Cascade. 4.5. That is a ton of hops, isn't it? It's gonna get murky in my spider. Okay, so our 30-minute editions. So 1 ounce of Centennial. I have this sample pack that Northern Brewer sent me. So that's an ounce, and then we do Galaxy is a 1/4 ounce at the 30-minute. At 20 minutes, we're doing a 1/4 ounce of Columbus. Okay, and the hop stand, we're gonna do Centennial. So we're gonna do 1/2 ounce, and then I'm gonna save the other 1/2 ounce for my dry hop. And I'm gonna do my dry hop in 3 days, so fermentation will still be happening. But I don't want any oxygen in this from the dry hops. I want it to look real pretty. So I'm gonna try to do the dry hopping when it's still fermenting, so the CO2 from the yeast will still be pushing up, get rid of all that oxygen. And a lot of people say that that's a good way to get like juicy hop qualities, because there's like a molecular thing that happens like with the yeast and the hops when the yeast is active. I don't know if it's true. It's just what I've read a little bit about, and it's like there's always 2 camps. So we're gonna try it. Okay, so we are now boiling. I'm actually going to take my 4.5 ounces of Cascade and throw them in this hop bag, and then use my spider for everything else, just because this is so much, it's going to clog up the works, and I really want the rest of the hops to be able to fully like get in there. So I'm just going to throw them in here and then tie it to the handle. And this is our 60-minute hops. There it goes. This is how I used to do all of my hop additions before I got this system. It works really well and keeps all the hops out of your like transferring whatever you're transferring from. So Hey Siri, set a timer for 30 minutes. So yeah, there's tons of hops in there. Do you see that? It's like weighty, and I got it in my eye. Okay, we're ready for our 30-minute addition. I've been letting this sit with the top on a little bit more to keep a rolling boil. That's 30. And our next addition is 20, and I'm going to throw in a Werflach tablet and some yeast nutrient. Since it is double, the yeast kind of have to work a little bit harder than they usually do, so I'm going to help them out a little bit. Okay, so we're at the 20-minute mark, and thanks to a suggestion from someone, I'm going to throw my Werflach tablet in the actual like main part of the brew so that it works better, and the hops in the spider. And that was, I don't remember what hop. Hey Siri, set a timer for 20 minutes. Okay, so we have hit our 60-minute mark, and I'm going to pull this guy so that I can attach it to my clamp, or so I can attach it to my chiller, into the wort in section, and my wort out. Going straight into the kettle. So I'm only gonna get this down to 194 degrees so that I can do my hop stand for 10 minutes, and then I'm just gonna chill it all the way. All right, so we're around 194. I'm gonna toss it in and just set a timer for 10 minutes. Okay, so our hop stand is done, and I'm just gonna turn on the pump and chill it. So we're at 65 degrees now, so I'm super comfortable pitching my yeast. That's what I usually ferment at anyway. I'm going to pitch the Kvike yeast that I used in my group brew with my club, the Crafty Brewsters, with my work wife, Mel. And yeah, so it gave a super clean profile last time. I used some super fruity hops then. This brew isn't as fruity, It's more of a like citrusy, resiny kind of IPA. So I'm excited to see how it turns out, especially in a more controlled setting. So the brewery stays at around 65 degrees, and that's what it's at now. So we'll pretty much have a steady temperature the whole time. I'm hoping to get this to around 8.7%. And I mean, it should be delicious. I can't wait to drink it. So I'm going to go ahead and re-sanitize this guy. Just get sanitizer all up in there. I'm not fearing the star san. It's fine to take in the yeast. And I'm going to just drape this in there without touching it at all. And start my pump. So the reason I hold up my tube when I put in my wort is to aerate it. So the yeast need oxygen to be able to build their cell walls. So this is just kind of like a extra step I take to aerate the wort. All right, so this is second generation yeast Voss Kveik yeast. I made a small starter, only like 2 cups of starter to mix in my yeast I saved from my previous batch. But let's go ahead and pitch it. And this thing's awesome. It's 62 degrees now, so this should be super clean double IPA. And we only ended up with about 4.5 gallons, unfortunately, but that just means it'll be stronger. I'm going to take my original gravity reading now. Let that sit while I lock this guy up. And so it looks like our original gravity is 18.5. So that's going to mean it is. So that means it's 1.079. So my original gravity was supposed to be 1.08. So I'm going to take it. It's only like 0.01 off. So well, I hope you like this double IPA as much as I do. It's one of the first recipes I made because I love that beer so much. And if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. Thank you. Baby, did you see a recipe lying around? It was on the rack, but now I don't see it. Why don't you work? Why am I in ounces? Okay. 7 times 16 is too much. This is making such a fucking mess. Woo! Really? I already forgot what it was. I'm using, I did not figure this out. Hey babe, would you grab me a clamp? Clamp? One of the kinds that you'd spin the thing to make it clamp down. No, for like for my chiller. Babe, help!